All right. So there's a book called Suicidal Empathy by God Saad. And it's fascinating. So I highly recommend it. And that's kind of where I got this idea. So Carl Jung analysis of suicidal empathy by God Saad would not focus on whether Saad is politically right or wrong. Jung would ask instead, what archetypal forces are constellated in this argument, what psychic imbalance is being named, and what shadow material is being projected. Shadow means our fear, guilt, and shame. The kind of the wounds inside of our subconscious are being projected externally, unknowingly, so that we can see ourselves. Hence the, speech is violence and you're racist. That's the fear, guilt, and shame that someone holds, because our hearts communicate our emotions and how we feel about ourselves externally so that we can see ourselves for self-improvement opportunities. It's not a takedown of somebody else. So Assad's central claim is that excessive empathy without healthy boundaries, especially like the second video talked about, especially in Western societies, leads to civilizational self-destruction, which we're seeing in the extreme immigrant crisis in Europe or in our own country in America. The lack of healthy boundaries at the border, letting in all kinds of murders and rapists and all these drugs coming in because we feel bad for them. Why is, feeling for people who aren't Americans in our own home country more important than ourselves? Well, there's the overgiving of self. There's a lack of healthy boundaries. There's the dysregulated nervous system. There's the immature, lack of self-aware behavior that is typical of people who haven't healed from their childhood wounds. So in Jung's typology, the arrows, connection, feeling, merging, logo, structure, differentiation, rational boundary, when one dominates, imbalance occurs. So connection, feeling, and merging is not in balance with structure, differentiation, and rational boundary. The feminine and the masculine are out of balance. It's an over-feminized and under-masculinized, kind of a knee-jerk reaction to what people call the patriarchy. So a cultural over-identification with the mother principle and a repression of the father principle. Okay, suicidal empathy as devouring mother archetype. Makes sense, right? So, I mean, if the young girls are getting raped like they are in the UK, then why aren't they stopping immigration? Why are, young men from Muslim countries more important than the young women in England? Jung described a distorted form of the mother archetype, over-permissive, boundaryless, smothering, sacrificing self-preservation for unconditional inclusion. I said that's Europe all the way right now. In its shadow form, the great mother becomes the devouring mother, consuming structure in the name of nurturance. From this lens, Saad's argument could be seen as a reaction to what he perceives as an overactivated maternal archetype at the cultural level. 100%, that's what's going on in Europe. We're stopping it here in America, but, we see these women using their bodies to confront law enforcement and then getting killed. Going there with criminal intent and then wondering why, or taking children to a protest where there's guns and, what is it, the pepper spray. Children. The young would immediately ask, what shadow is constellated in the critique? When someone attacks empathy as dangerous, it may also reflect fear of vulnerability, over-identification with strength, inflation of rational superiority, rejection of feeling. So in Jungian terms, the critic of empathy may be possessed by an exaggerated logos principle, which I would say that's the patriarchy. And the psyche swings between opposites. But when the psyche is in a human being that is emotionally regulated, then healthy boundaries naturally pop up. We don't go too far one way or too far the other way. So Jung believed Western civilization struggles to integrate rational enlightenment values, logos, with religious moral compassion traditions, eros. If a society leans too far into unbounded empathy, it risks loss of structure, which we've seen in America, and in Europe. Cold rationalization, it risks cruelty and dehumanization. I mean, we did that with the Spanish Crusades, the Spanish Inquisition killed millions because they're heretics, or the Manifest Destiny, where we killed 60 million buffalo, all the beavers and the wolves, and then the salmon with all the dams. And we did that to kill the Native Americans. So we've swung both ways. We're like, it's like a teeter-totter. We're trying to figure out, our balance here. So true individuation requires holding both. So a Jungian critique of suicidal empathy would not dismiss the concern about boundaries, but would question whether the solution risks overcorrecting into rigidity.